Introduction. Datre, the men and women on this planet are beginning to ask the question, who am I, and what am I doing here, and what am I here for? They are taking the first steps on that grand journey of what is before them that has been traveled by many since the beginning of physicality upon this particular planet Earth. It is a continuous journey of evolution. Now you all think of evolution of other species on your planet. You watch the trees grow, the animals grow, the rivers, the lakes, the oceans, the desert, the mountains, constantly changing, constantly evolving. But many of you miss watching the most interesting evolution on your planet, that is the evolution of the physical species called man and its constant changing of the physical construct. But the one thing you cannot see is the evolution of the individual within the physical construct. Now, many begin the evolution of that which you call getting to know yourself, and it is begun with fervor. You begin to read books and you begin to listen to those that are bring through information through that which you call the channels. This name also has been changed over time. At one time they were called mediums. Then they were called psychics. Now the term recently has been changed to channels. In the beginning everything is new and fascinating and interesting and confusing. There is usually a very basic underlying theme that is followed throughout the material based upon love. The more the individual pursues this information, they will soon begin to establish a pattern. They will choose certain books and certain individuals that are giving them information that they are comfortable with. As an example, let us pretend that they are walking along and come to a river. They would like to go across the river, so they will start, very tentatively, stepping on rocks to get across. But they can't take that next step out of their comfort zone, so they will continue to stand there afraid to take the next step. They do not wish to go back, having come this far, and yet are uncomfortable staying right where they are. The longer the person stands in the middle of the river, their comfort zone begins to change and they become fearful of going ahead, and yet they do not want to go back, so they begin to look for help. Now, frightened people want shelter and a definite set of rules to be followed. They want to be told what to do. The individual in the middle of the river wants someone to come and tell them if they should go forward or if they should go backward. That is what they're looking for, someone to help them. This is what happens to a country that becomes frightened. The first thing they do is look for others to help them. This is why governments, churches, organizations of all kinds have those individuals who rely on them to set forth the parameters for them to follow. They are fearful of making their own decisions. You have seen it in many countries all over your globe where people fight. Why do they fight? They are fearful of change, even if change would be to their advantage. Your world at the present time is in great upheaval. People are dissatisfied with governments. They're dissatisfied with laws, rules, regulations. They're dissatisfied with their individual situations, their finances, their relationships. They're dissatisfied with their lives in general. This seems to be in all countries. Why is this surfacing at this particular time? Because changes need to be made. And when individuals on your planet recognize that change is needed, there's that instant fear of what is going to happen next. Then when they don't know what is going to happen next, panic sets in every direction you can think of. You have always had wars and rumors of wars. You have always had those who obtain power through domination. They use fear as their means of empowerment over you. But the one thing that constantly holds the fabric of your planet together are those individuals who are secure in themselves and continue to go forward in creating an underlying stability that greatly affects those immediately around them. Those that interact with these particular individuals will feel that stability and will in turn pass that on to others. It has been said many times, a master walks among you and you know not who it is. They do not change in appearance. They work, act, and live as ordinary people. They blend in with all of humanity. And yet, simply by them interacting with other individuals on the planet, changes are made. The only way changes are made on your planet are by other individuals in physicality. They radiate a stability and a calmness that is felt by people even though a word is not said. Many of you want to know how you can be of service. Many want to be healers. Many want to be channels. People want to help other people. One of the greatest ways you can help not only other people that you are in communication with, but all of the peoples on the planet, is by getting to know who you are, so that you can communicate and walk among them in confidence. Now, one of the things that is so easily overlooked is, during the bombing of the 2 World Trade Center towers in New York, the majority of the information and grieving was by those that are in your United States. However, there were individuals from some 86 countries and regions that were either in the buildings or were passengers on those airplanes. That has a great impact on all nations, because it shows that every nation is vulnerable. That is why you are finding that the countries are beginning to be drawn closer together due to their mutual interest. In a poem by Thoreau on time, it goes like this: "Time is but the stream I go a-fishing in. I drink at it, but while I drink I see the sandy bottom and detect how shallow it is. Its thin current slides away, but eternity remains." As you can see, there are always those upon your planet that are constantly learning more about physicality and their existence and the evolution of self. There are always those who are at the tip of the spear, changing the evolutionary patterning of the human species. The expression of the individual may be as simple as the words of a poem, but those who are watching the evolution will recognize it immediately. These are but a few ways that you can observe your own evolution and take enjoyment in it. The evolution of the planet and the evolution of the species are important, however, the evolution of the individual you is our main focus. In the understanding of you, the evolution of other events will be seen more clearly. And life will become an interesting journey. The understanding of the evolution of the expressing you is all that there is. Question: are the entities which comprise Datre the same sort of entities which have emitted the life sparks that we are? Datre: no. Definitely not. We are of the universe. In universal understanding, we are birthed to do what we do. We each are in a mode of constant doing. We have said before that you could not exist in our existence, because everything that we, to use your terms, think, is immediately done. You cannot exist on that principle. You have slowed things down for your perception in physicality. That is why physicality is so fascinating to us, because it is so slow. It gives you an opportunity to slow things down so that you can have a physical interaction with other masses, be it a house, a boat, a car, whatever. So you have a unique opportunity of focus. That is what physicality is all about. It's a different focus. Each one of us in the universe has a different focus. But our focus encompasses so much more than what you think of. The focus is wherever we want to be. Whereas you choose to focus in a very narrow band of experience. When you get to the point that you can knowingly focus within 2 existences at the same time and know that you are focusing in 2 existences, you will be making great strides. That is possible. This will truly be an experience upon this planet. It is a hard concept for you to understand perhaps, because you are so used to working through only one physical being. But our work is intertwined, interlaced, and yet separate in its doingness. So it encompasses more than Datre. There are many of us that will not ever speak through this channel with information, because the areas they work in are not describable in Earth terms. So they would never be part of Datre, simply because it is non-translatable. Question: we learn a lot from you. What do you learn from us? Datre: it is a very interesting show to watch. It is even more interesting when we are able to come down and look through physical eyes and move in a physical construct. You have no idea how exciting that is. You see, in the universe there is no color. I know people are going to get all upset by that, but that is the truth. So, to be able to come into a physical construct and be able to get to the point to focus the eyes, to see the light and the color that exists on your planet, is something that I could not explain to you. That is why we change as much as we do, because everyone wants to have this experience. So you see, everyone that comes down and comes into this physical construct is a different vibratory patterning, so there's constant adjusting to this physical construct all the time. But it is exciting. Question, Datre, what is your task in the universe? Do you exist only in our universe? And who or what is above you? I know there is no hierarchy, but you probably understand what I mean. Datre, well, there again, like I say, you see you're relating everything to physicality. We do. We don't explain what we do. If we could explain what we did, it wouldn't make any sense anyway. So, as far as explaining any of that, it is very difficult to do. My intent, the one that is in the body right now, my intent is to get you to the point that you stretch the physical brain enough so that you can comprehend a little bit of what this is all about. Now, in no time, I could vacate this body, and there would be another Datre in here who would have an entirely different agenda. They may have a specific agenda, something that they have observed that they want to bring in. Each one of us, when we use the body, we all have different intents and purposes. Because you are only seeing words and not hearing voices, you don't know there is a difference taking place all the time. Then you see, because of that, Aona has gotten to the point that she likes that feeling, because when she comes back into the body, it is extremely stimulated. Maybe a little off-kilter as far as finding things is concerned, but she thinks it's fun. We enjoy it, so each one has something different to offer. Question, are there any sources above the prime sources? Datre, I don't know what you mean by sources. You see there again, you're thinking of a God principle. If you look at those questions very carefully, I have been avoiding this because it's a sore point for many people. But you're looking at everything as if there has to be a single deity, or whatever you want to call it, that created this whole thing. That's the way I see the questions being asked. It doesn't work that way. It takes a combination of us to put a universe into motion, to keep it going, to maintain it. So there is no one. All of your religions and all of that, they all seem to be based on a single source. In other words, you have the Big Bang Theory and all of that. Then there is one that takes care of the whole thing. That is only in your Earth context. It's not a universal principle. Even here in your bubble universe, it is not a one-principle type situation. Question, are there physical worlds that are quite similar to ours, or is every physical world unique in itself? Datre, everyone is unique within itself, definitely unique within itself. As to bodies, you've got them this way. But you're not going to go to another planet and find bodies like yours. You are unique. Your individual and collective evolution is unique. All that is dreamed, experienced, created is unique, from the physical concept to the concepts of each atom to those in Datre and those similar to Datre. There can be no two alike of anything, or creation and evolution of everything would cease.